Welcome to Let Me Know How It Is, a podcast about all things geek. This is our second watch challenge, our long-promised second watch challenge, featuring Rick and Morty and Cowboy Bebop. We've all watched the selected episodes, and now we're going to go over them. Before we start, I'm going to ask you to hit that subscribe button, and remember to go ahead and submit your ideas for topics. You can leave those in the comments section. Thanks for listening. Okay, our Rick and Morty Cowboy Bebop Watch Challenge is now officially underway. I'm Zack Slater.
I'm Frank Melman.
This is Tommy Smithereens.
And I'm Clifton.
Okay, so this is our second watch challenge. I'll explain very quickly how it works to the listeners. So one of us extends a challenge to another to get them to watch a show they've never seen, but we believe they would enjoy. In this case, Frank thought I would enjoy Rick and Morty, but I had been reluctant to watch it. So Frank selects 5 episodes to showcase that show, and we all watch it. And in exchange, I reciprocated with Cowboy Bebop. So we all watched those 5 episodes of Cowboy Bebop, and we discuss them all here. So this is an attempt to really see if we can get the other one to become a fan of the show. Tommy and Clifton will help reinforce our cases because, Tommy, you're a fan of both shows already, correct?
Yeah, I've seen both.
Okay. And Clifton, I know you're a fan of Cowboy Bebop, but you haven't really watched a whole lot of Rick and Morty before this, right?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So, Frank, let's list our episodes, and then we'll get into quickly why we were hesitant to watch our respective shows.
All right, very good. So for Rick and Morty, I chose Season 1, Episode 5, Me Seeks and Destroy. Season 1, Episode 6, Rick Potion number 9. Season 1, Episode 8, Rick's D Minutes. And then Season 2, Episode 1, Rickle in Time. And the last one is Season 2, Episode 4, Total Recall.
Okay. And for Cowboy Bebop, I did Episode 1, Asteroid Blues. Episode 5, Ballad of Fallen Angels. Episode 11, Toys in the Attic. Number 15, My Funny Valentine. And number 16, Black Dog Serenade. So, okay. So before we get started, so Frank, why didn't you go along to Cowboy Bebop?
I think the biggest thing for me was, for the longest time, it was one of those things like Akira, where everyone and their brother was telling me, oh my God, Cowboy Bebop. Oh my God, Cowboy Bebop. You got to see Cowboy Bebop. You haven't seen Cowboy Bebop? Even when I was getting ready to watch this, my wife was looking over my shoulder, but she's like, what are you watching? I said, it's Cowboy Bebop. She stopped, took just a step or two, and went, you haven't seen Cowboy Bebop? I think for me, it was the hyping of it. And then it was one of the things where as time went on, I'm like, yeah, it's on my list to watch. I'm going to get to it. I'll get to it. And then ever since then, it's been, streaming service after streaming service. And it's like a full buffet every time you want to watch anything. So I never really took the time to go back and watch it. But I think initially the biggest thing was just that I felt the pressure of having to watch it because everyone, working in a comic shop, people recommended stuff to you all the time. And I think that was one of those where I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. I'm not anyone who knows me, Tommy will tell you this, I'm not a huge anime fan to begin with.
Not remotely.
Right. No, you're not. Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm really just not. And it's one of those things where even the stuff that I like, that it's a manga or anime, I like it, but it's still, I have my things about, I don't like stuff stylistically. I think, I appreciate the fact that how well made it is or how beautiful it is, but it's one of those things where it's kind of hard for me to just accept. I don't know if it's a stylized version of everything that I see. So I don't know what my hang up is, but it's one of the things where that might be the other reasons. I was never a huge anime fan to begin with.
Right. Yeah, mine for Rick and Morty is a little bit similar to yours. It, like, on one hand, it was just like super overhyped for me at some point, but that was in combination with another aspect that came a little bit later. So Frank, you've been talking the show up to me for years, and you and I, we have very similar tastes in a lot of things.
Yes,
we overlap a lot on things. So on your recommendation, this isn't my first time seeing the show. I watched an episode in the past, and it was just like a random one that was on Adult Swim. Okay. Right. And I knew nothing about the show, and it was just on one night. I'm like, I'll check this one out. And I can't remember which one it was, but I think I just happened to catch maybe the worst possible one to start with. Cause I didn't get the show.
Okay.
I didn't get it at all. I got that it was a warped, Doc and Marty from Back to the Future and everything. Sure. And I appreciated that it had this kind of sci-fi bent to it and everything. And I appreciated so it's about stuff that I'm into, but I just didn't get the humor. I didn't get the jokes. Right. And I didn't know that it had this serialized component to it. Right.
it's one of those things that it's funny you say that when I purposely tried to choose stuff that wasn't quite so overarching mythology, quote unquote, for the show. I tried to choose stuff that would have a bit of a run through for the stuff that I chose. But there's bigger stuff for the show that I figured if I chose one of those episodes, I would have to choose all of those episodes, and I didn't want to do that.
Right. Yeah. So it was that I caught the show, and then kind of was like, I don't know if it's for me. And then it was at that period where like it started to get like overhyped. And I was like, all right, geez, enough with the show. Like I just don't get it. You know what I mean? But I have a coworker that really, really loves Rick and Morty also, and he had pointed me into the direction of a courtroom video that they made that I believe was like for a San Diego Comic-Con, and I was just cracking up at this. So it's basically like Morty plays a judge and Rick is like this, I'll say, difficult defendant.
Yes,
you know, and I just thought was so funny, and I didn't find out till later that it was actually like a re-recorded. It was re-recorded from actual like court footage.
Yeah, it's like a transcript, right?
Yeah, it was like a transcript that the voice actors just re-recorded and did this, which I thought it was even funnier that they would do this. And I showed it to my wife later on to explain it to her, and she was horrified.
Yeah,
after the fact. So that was like the first thing that kind of made me go like, oh, okay, I think this is cool. And then I know that they had like a samurai short that was like released last year, and I saw that. So it does kind of flex some cool muscles. So like over the last year, I was kind of getting it a little bit more. But that was my very long statement as to why I didn't go along with it. So all right, so let's go ahead with Cowboy Bebop first. So let's start with Asteroid Blues. So what'd you think, Frank?
Well, it's one of the things where, I mean, right off the bat, it's one of those, I love the theme. I thought the theme was really cool. Just breaking it down bit by bit. I really enjoyed the theme. The theme was it called Tank? Yeah.
The opening theme.
Yeah,
okay.
The opening theme. Yeah, I thought
the
opening
theme
was really
of the story.
Yeah, no, not thematically like the episode. I mean, like the actual theme song for me was like, it's awesome. I love the way it's cut together. I did find it very reminiscent of No Vacancy by J.G. Thirlwell from Venture Brothers.
Right.
Like it made me evoke that for me when I was watching it. I'm like, oh, I love this too. This is awesome. So,
yeah, the music's composed by Yoko Kanno and performed by a band she put together just to record the entire score for the show called The Seatbelts.
Okay. Very cool.
And she does compose all of the music for the show and then works with different collaborators.
Gotcha. But no, I like that right off the bat. I thought that was very cool. Like I said, the other thing that it reminded me of when I was watching it was just the ship itself, the Bebop, especially the interior. It reminded me very much of Firefly. Tommy, would you agree with me? I don't know if everyone else has watched Firefly or Serenity.
No, there's a reason why.
Okay.
One influenced the other. And yeah. That's why I'm laughing, because I didn't think you'll hit it that far. That you'll make the connection that fast. But yeah.
Oh no! Right off the bat, I was like, oh wow, that looks exactly like the interior, like where their eating space and their hangout space is very much from Fire. And I looked up, that I think Cowboy Bebop is 98 and Firefly is 2002.
Yeah.
So it's obvious that
it's very obvious.
Yeah. So the interior design. As for the episode itself, I didn't watch the subtitle version. I watched the dub version. So
that's what most people have seen.
Yeah. Okay. So the dub version, right off the bat, it's got Steve Bloom, right? As
in a very early Steve Bloom role
as Spike. So it's kind of looking back on Toonami and those commercials and everything, and then having him be Spike was kind of a neat bit. As for the episode, I thought the episode was cool. It's a very well animated episode. I liked the whole what's the name of the drug?
Red Eye.
Yeah, I thought Red Eye was a really cool thing. I like the way, it's really, I like all of that stuff. I thought that was great. I thought the bit with his girlfriend, wanted to go to Mars, and they're not going to be able to go to Mars. We're spoiling this for you. If you haven't watched these episodes, I'm planning to spoil everything. So.
Nah, I think you're the only one that hasn't seen it at this point.
Just me?
Yeah.
I'm the last one in line? Okay.
Yes.
All right, the back line farmer's behind me, so... But yeah, no, I liked it. I liked the music and the fights and stuff. It was very cool. I thought, overall, I liked this episode. I thought it was good.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear. I picked this one out just because, I just wanted to give you like the first serving of the whole world, right? I didn't want you to go in. I didn't want to pick one that was like, the third or fourth episode and have you kind of be like, I don't know the situation and everything. Right. So I wanted you to sort of encounter the world as we all encountered the world at first time.
Right. Well, my thing about it was what I instantly had questions because of the fact that, it's obviously hinted in that opening that, he'd been, gut shot and dies, I guess. And then, it's not something that really comes up again until another episode. And then from what I knew about the show, I was like, well, there's other characters. Why aren't these other characters on board yet? Or are they? We just didn't see them in this first episode.
Right. The people from the intro, the other folks you see like Faye and everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They come along later.
Gotcha. That was my thing. Was like, we don't have a full, they're in the intro, but they're not in the episode. So it's kind of like, well, I guess we'll get them at some point, or maybe they're just not in this particular episode. So.
Yeah. What's interesting about the episode is that it does feel like this world has existed before you're seeing it. Like it does feel like it's very lived in, but that episode is the introduction everyone gets to it. That is the first anyone sees of it because it is episode number 1.
Mm. Yeah. It has a Star Wars feel to it, like a very lived in, like aged, crowded, super crowded. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Right.
Well, you're not a big anime person, so for you it'd be peculiar. But if you typically watch animes will show an intro of a myriad of people in the show that are like steadfast characters. They'll be in the intro, but they'll gradually be brought out into the story over the course of episodes. So it's not new that you didn't see the full cast in the first episode.
Okay, gotcha.
They don't feel the need to introduce the entire ensemble at once.
Well, there's only 4 of them. I mean, it's not it's not a full complement of characters. There's 4, and I was like, well, maybe are they in another part of the ship and we just don't see them?
Right.
Oh no,
that's like it's a narrative difference because in an American show, like if you say you've got a cast of 4 people, they will want to see all 4 in their backstories in the first episode.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Generally, yes. Sometimes no, but generally yes. So
yeah, not animes.
Overall, I liked it. I thought it was good. I mean, again, I thought that, the main thing I thought about it was the look and the music was the best part. I think it was really, really, as an anime as animation goes, I thought it was really well done.
I like the reveal of the pregnancy, right? Because the scenes are kind of staged all throughout the episode in a way that like, oh, something horrible is going to happen to her.
Right.
And then when there's that gunfight and her belly gets hit, and then you find like that's where they were storing all the drugs that just spills out. I actually like that. I like that reveal to it because I think you're expecting something bad, and I think that you're expecting something to like that she's going to lose the baby, but I don't think that you're necessarily expecting that like, oh, the whole thing was a farce.
That she's a drug mule,
right? Yeah,
basically.
Yeah,
yeah. No, like I said, I thought that was a cool reveal. Overall, it was a good it was a good starting point.
Yeah, so. Yeah, and I'll confess too, for me, because I'm not a very big anime guy either. Is the thing. I think I'm a little bit more receptive to it than you are, Frank, because I've seen a little bit more of it. But I'm super choosy about this stuff too. And one of the reasons
you've seen all of Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, one of the reasons I wanted to pick this for you though is that because I think Cowboy Bebop's like a super accessible one, right? Because it's about as westernized as you're gonna find. I think, and that's kind of like the point of it, right?
Right.
It did get to a point though where I'm like, I don't know if at this point in this situation, Cowboy Bebop's the one, because I'm like, if you haven't seen it in 25 years, and it is like the most ubiquitous anime in America, like I don't know if it'll win you over.
Right.
Well, stay tuned. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, I am nervous. I will be honest. I am nervous. I am pleasantly surprised that you liked the first one.
No, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good one. So.
All right, so let's go to our first Rick and Morty. So, Meeseeks and Destroy, which I had been saying, I'm Mr. Meeseeks in my head for a frickin' week.
I think you're supposed to. I think I think the Meeseeks are very much supposed to be, once you've seen them once, that they never really leave you. So, no, I chose this one. It was one of my things where it's a pretty straightforward episode. There's not a whole lot about it. It's a little high concept on science, the Meeseeks box. But it's not like the idea of Rick and Morty just going on adventures together and that Morty is dissatisfied with what they've been doing. Like it's very traumatic what they're coming back from.
Right.
I wanted that to be a moment of like, you just give you kind of like a baseline, and then, well, we'll talk more about the episode, but that was my idea. Was like, if you knew, all you knew that is that they went on crazy adventures, and this is kind of the stuff that could happen to them.
Yeah,
with the opener where Morty has to basically wipe out his family.
Well, yeah, the open is such a perfect open to put somebody in for if you're not going to pick the first episode, I think this is a really good one to choose because it does set up the world. We're like, okay, we're in a world where, we're multiverse hopping essentially. And I thought the open was really, really great. And the thing that struck me about it, I like the design work because it is able to convey a lot of emotion very minimally.
Right.
Like the designs are super, super simple. You don't get a whole lot of facial expressions, but you do.
Right.
And it's effective. Like,
it
you
really
know what
works.
I mean? Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I like just the animation nerd in me kind of enjoys that from like old Looney Tunes and stuff like that, where you're conveying something with like a pose.
Right.
Yeah.
It's highly, I think what I like about their animation style, it's highly stylized and yet it's not.
Yeah.
There's full well, if you're looking at what their stuff is for Rick and Morty, it's unlike anything else, but at the same time, it's pretty simplistic.
Yeah.
So
the bet plot was cool. I love a good bet plot and everything, but that plot to me was nowhere near as interesting as the Meeseek stuff and everything. And it's similar
right.
to the Cowboy Bebop episode that we talked about. I think that you are led to believe a certain number of things, right?
Right.
When I'm terrible with the character names, but when Summer,
yes,
right, first like says, I want to be popular, right? And then is it Beth? Beth is the wife?
Yeah, Beth is right. Morty's mom. Yeah.
Okay. And she's like, I want to be like fulfilled. You know what I mean? And it's like, and after he says like, you got to ask for simple tasks
right.
for these things. And I'm just like, wow, they just picked like two of the most complicated things out there out of the gate, you know? And I love that that it's even like drilled home where he's like, you guys are doing this wrong. I just want to take like 2 strokes off of my golf swing.
Right.
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 And the whole time I'm thinking oh, she's going to fall in love with Mr. Meeseeks, isn't she? Like they're going to have a thing. That's what we're going towards is like this affair. And like they tease it for like a second.
Right.
And then it's gone. And then the golf swing ends up being this.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The one thing.
That drives them nuts and they can't fulfill it because Jerry's Jerry. Right.
Yeah.
No, I love that bit. I love the fact that, Jerry is so, Jerry thinks he's the smartest guy in the room and he's obviously not. But the fact that Jerry's like, oh no, it won't be a big deal at all that you're going to take these two strokes off my golf swing. And no, it's not at all. It leads to them in pain and they can't go away and die. It's a result.
Yep.
Yeah, the point where the episode turned for me, because I'm like everything else, like I hadn't seen this one before. I had not seen this episode before.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I'm going along with everything. And then it's the point where the one Mr. Meeseek summons the other one for the first time. Then I'm like, okay, now that I see this turn, I'm like, now I want to see what happens.
Yep.
Oh yeah. No, the bit when they, when they have, when they're in the living room of the Smith's house and they're all, and then it just turns into this Meeseek's war. And they're just slamming the Meeseeks box to bring in reinforcements is amazing. I love that part.
Yep. And then they can't die, so they're just living with all the awful stuff that they're doing to each other.
Yes. Yeah, and then they realize what they have to do is kill Jerry. It's one of my favorite moments in that episode is the one where the one Meeseeks out of nowhere rides through the restaurant window in the horse.
Yeah.
Just comes charging through the window for no idea where the horse came from, no idea where they got those guns, much less. But they just tear through the window trying to get to Jerry. I thought that was awesome.
I love the shot from inside the freezer when he grabs like the hostage and he's got the gun to her head.
And she doesn't understand at all. Of course, what's going on. And I love the bit with Jerry's like, we're just going to go home. And the guy's like, no, you're not. The police have so many questions for you.
Yeah. It's a good bit. It's a good bit. Yeah, I like this episode a lot. I really did.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. No, I mean, for me, it's the bit I like. I like that plot with the three of them, but I also like the Rick and Morty stuff because it's a situation where, you'll if you continue with it, you'll see so many times of Rick just thinking, well, I know more than you, idiot, so therefore this is how it's going to be, and Morty pushing back on that, and the fact that Morty's first attempt at having an adventure just takes a really, really dark turn.
Yeah.
Because he even says in the episode that adventures are supposed to be simple and fun. And this one is so not simple and fun. Also, if you don't realize it, the part where when they go to the giant land or to go to take, to find out about where the giant's treasure room is, that's Dan Harmon.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
the giant basically in his underwear walking around is Dan Harmon. So
I did not know that. Okay.
Yes, that was good. Oh, and then Tommy, you can answer this for me. Do you think that King Jellybean is a swipe at Adventure Time at all?
How's that swipe at Adventure Time?
Just the fact that you had so many characters like that,
based on candy,
where they did not like to be like the horror that he turns into being, but I mean just the
No, that's more like Adventure Time.
No, I'm just saying along like Princess Bubblegum, and I'm just saying it's a I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying is it? Do you think that it might be?
Oh, if it is, it's I think a long grab.
Okay.
It might be just a small gesture towards that with the whole candy thing, but I didn't think it as such. I was more thinking about you think it's some innocent character when it's not, just based on the name alone. And but Zach, did you watch it post credits till it ended?
Yeah.
Did you see the tag bit, Zach?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the
Just want to make
statue.
sure. Yeah, the statues. Jeez. So awful. Yes, we can learn more from what he was.
Yeah. No, it was a good one.
Yeah. So good. I'm glad you enjoyed that. The first one I chose. That's awesome. Okay, very good.
All right. So let's move on. So Cowboy Bebop again now,
Yes.
and we are talking episode 5, Ballad of Fallen Angels.
Yes. So this one, let me see. Let me look at I have copious notes on everything. So, I like the idea that the when they're making this negotiation in this gangster boardroom, I thought it was cool that they had the blood thumbprint. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then if you're the least bit squeamish about blood, it's like, oh my god, the scene just becomes blood sprinklers basically. Yeah. So no, I like that. I like the idea of trying to expand on what exactly happened with Spike. It doesn't exactly say more than he dies, and so it's kind of a I didn't really it basically started the questioning in me of like, well, how is that possible even though we're in the future? I mean, obviously technology has gone on with things. And then of course that was where I said the moment of like, was Faye in another part of the ship? Was she in and then when they showed the flashback, I was kind of curious about because they show a point where Vicious and Spike are back to back, which obviously meant they were they weren't always enemies or whatever they are. So but overall I liked the episode. I thought the fight in the church, right, was good. The same church from the first episode, or the flashback in the first episode.
Is it? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, it's the music sequence in which he drops off roses. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, no, I thought all that was cool. I liked it. I thought it was, I liked and enjoyed the episode. But it was all it did. But also, basically, all it did was make me ask questions about the rest of his background and what was going on. So.
Sure, this episode is all mood, mood. And very effective. I think I love the John Woo gunfight in the church. I think it's really, really cool to see that animated as opposed to shot with actors. I think it's a little bit more impressive that they're drawings,
right?
Doing this.
More good music from Yoko Kanno and Seatbelts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought one of the it's a stupid small thing, but it's like it's an interesting choice. It's kind of like indicative of the sort of thing this show does, where it's like when Spike is walking up to the church, the shot's all desaturated, but it's purple.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They didn't go with a gray. They didn't go with a desaturated blue. They went with a purple, which is just a tad warmer and does evoke a little bit like an uneasiness to it.
Yeah. No, like I said, overall, I thought the episode itself was really good. And then again, it's just one of those, with the way it ends and the way he ends up, and the fact that I had the question about who exactly the blonde was. Right, because they show in the flashback. Yeah. So
that is the drawback of how we did this. I think is that for this show especially is the moments in between episodes. You're a little bit lost as to when did this come into a thing? When did this
in some ways Faye they pick up in, was it episode 2 or 3? I can't remember now. But the blonde, you've seen as much by that point in the show as anyone has.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what kind of. That's
just how they present it. A little piece at a time in flashes.
Yeah. That's what I figured.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, and that's what I mean. That as we're watching, it's kind of hard to distinguish those sort of things. Like, because as we'll get into with Rick and Morty, I had an issue like this as well.
Okay.
Where I'm like, is there, did we meet this person already and I missed it, or are we really meeting, or am I supposed to be lost?
Right.
Like,
right.
Yeah.
But no, one thing that from this challenge that Frank never got is the pacing of the show, how greatly it differs on that episode. When this show appeared to everyone, this was the make or break episode that made people go, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Right. I remember watching it on like midnight.
Yeah.
Toonami or Adult Swim, whatever it was at the time, like right around 2001 when it first made it to the States. And like the first 4, I was like, okay, I'm watching. I've heard good stuff about this.
Yeah.
And then it gets to the firefight at the end of this episode with like the choir and all that. I'm like, okay, like now I get it.
Yeah.
Like now I'm in.
Yeah. Everybody called it when it dropped. Have you seen number 5? Have you seen number 5? This is the one that everyone goes all in, see what's about, the gunplay, everything about. Up until that point, not to say number 1 was lighthearted 100%, but it has a different tone.
Definitely.
A different set of what it creates.
Yeah.
5 is set apart from everything you've seen before it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's a lot more melancholy. Yeah, I mean, that was 100%, Tommy, 100% Clifton. Like, that's what I felt too. When I got to episode 5, when I watched it years and years ago, I was like, holy crap, like, this show's great. What I love about the gunfight too is he gets wounded, and he gets wounded like fairly early. And that is, I think, a little bit of a distinction between, like, I like that they're willing to take that chance, and they kind of stack it against him right away. Whereas, like, American action movies, there's bullets flying all the time and nobody gets, hurt except for the bad guys.
Well, they get hurt. They get hurt, but they get hurt right at the very end of the fight.
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
I agree with you. It was a good bit to have him. I like the idea of, like you said, of it being early on. So now you got to deal with the fact that you're shot.
Yeah,
and then try to win the rest of the fight.
Yeah.
The flashback transition too of like the blonde woman singing, and then it cuts to present time where it's Faye singing, and he's all mangled up again.
Right.
I love that transition. I think it's such an effective, like just filmmaking cut, basically. Yeah.
And one thing that Frank, you didn't know that you missed was it goes right back to episode 1 with his sleight of hand, how that gets him out of trouble. That you don't see that as much in the previous episodes, but it's when it happens in 5, it sort of reminds you of how skillful he is when he fights.
Right.
In which even when he's out, don't count him out completely.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So another good one, huh?
Yeah, no, I like that one too.
Okay.
That's good.
Cool. All right. 2 for 2 on this one. Start off to a good start. Okay, so we are going to do Rick and Morty, Rick Potion number 9.
Yes, Rick Potion number 9. I chose this one because one of the things I think that this show does really well is, and Harmon does it in general, is he'll take something that you think like a concept as simple as, wow, I wish there was a potion to make, like you've seen it on, like, I'm sure there was a Family Matters where there was a love potion, or if you're older, an I Dream of Jeannie or a Bewitched episode where someone wanted a love potion or whatever, and takes that idea and basically flips it to something not so sweet and not so comical or not so mining for whatever. So this was one of the things where I wanted to take this one, because this one again takes this simple thing of make the hot girl like me into a Cronenberg world,
right?
And it also shows you that, much like we were talking earlier, before we were doing the podcast, we were warming up, we were talking about Scarface, and I think it's one of those things where that I think, much like Scarface was in for that particular time in culture, I think Rick Sanchez is also another character that has been turned into a kind of a deified thing. And people elevate, Rick's this amazing character, and he's not that he's not, but it's one of those things where this gives you a really good idea of the scale of how badly Rick can screw stuff up.
Right. Yeah. Well, this was the episode too where it hit me that this show's a lot more like mean-spirited than I knew about.
It can be. Yes.
You know what I mean? Again, I this is another one I really, really like too. Because I come from watching all those old sitcoms and stuff like that, so I've seen the Love Potion plot done 100 times by now, and I like that there's this warped take on it, right? Where I like also that it's called out for being as creepy as it is.
Sure, right, exactly.
I like that it does that.
When he starts calling out how creepy Morty is for wanting to do it in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you're a little creepy creep person.
But I like the repercussions of it all. That too, we're like basically this one thing, in the apocalypse kind of is the result,
right,
of this.
Yeah.
And Jerry's running around with a shotgun.
Yes.
and going to work.
Yeah, you get that great Ernest Hemingway joke that Jerry doesn't get. That is I love that joke about the shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that one. But he's like, I don't even know what it means, but I don't care. But yeah, it's one of the things where like Tommy and I have talked about this, over the course of seasons of Rick and Morty, the fact that, much like Walter White or Tommy Montoya or, characters like that, some people just want to, say, well, yeah, this is our main focal point character. That's got to be the hero of our story. And we're like, no.
Yeah.
No. Make no mistake that Rick screws a lot of stuff up. He's a very selfish, self-involved character.
It's like our Scott Pilgrim from last episode.
Right.
Yeah, makes a lot of bad choices that affect a lot of people's lives. And in this case, he basically, wrecks a planet.
Destroys the world.
And bolts. It's like, please.
Doesn't clean it up. Doesn't fix it. Is not even remorseful.
No.
Tries twice basically, doesn't work, and then he's like, all right, I got this other way that we can get out of it, which I love that transition too, right? Because it is jarring. It's intentionally jarring when they come back to that spot, and it's a scene that we've seen over and over again and everything, and you're like, okay, like what happened here? Like, how did he fix it? And then they blow up, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute. And it's just, it's such it's where design is important, where Morty shows up like in the suit, and it's all tattered and everything. We're like, okay, those are the guys we were following the whole time.
Yes.
Here's where we are. And it's just this super, off-putting, uncomfortable, mortifying, no pun intended, like ending.
Yeah, very squirmy. It's a very squirmy scene, right? You don't know, you're very unsettled by it because, like you said, the world looks like it's put back together, and they're going to explain how they fixed it. Yep. And no, he just basically stepped into the shoes of Rick and Morty that died in another another universe, and business as usual. Keep it going. Yep.
And Rick's fine with it.
And then bury them in the backyard.
Yeah. He even says to when Morty is having his freak out moment, he's like, don't think about it. Yeah. That's what he tells me. Don't think about it. Everything's fine.
And there's that fourth wall moment too, where he's also just like, we could only get away with this like 3 or 4 times.
Right. I love the fact that, that's it's one of those things where when I think about how much, people are like, oh, I'm like Rick. I'm like, well, then you're a terrible human being. Like, you don't want to be like Rick. Cause again, it's one of those things where 6 episodes in, even his own daughter says, no, he's a terrible, selfish, irresponsible ass. And he left my mom. Right. Like, what more do you need to know about him than what you've already seen? But somehow he keeps getting elevated into this, not a role model per se, but just like I said, it's one of the things where I see him, I see the character talked about. I'm like, I don't think you get, how awful he is.
Yeah, he's deified. Yeah, on chats or message boards. How great he is, or how supreme genius, or how powerful he is. But he messes up, and when he messes up, it's big, and he has no remorse for his mistakes. That's what makes it even more a defiled. Just. Ugh.
Yeah. No. You're following the wrong God.
Yeah, no, big time.
Well, yeah, this is the moment where hero and protagonist as synonyms doesn't work.
Right,
exactly. That's not really what it should be.
Yeah, no.
But
just because we're following this character doesn't mean he's the hero of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, my thing about it, again, it was one of those things where I just, it's so early on in the first season, they basically like, no, Rick screws stuff up. Don't believe his own hype when he tells you that, I fixed everything because I'm great.
Right.
But no, one of the things I love about this is the tag bit at the end where Summer's doing the Jaws bit. Yeah. Doing the puppet, like they're doing like a puppet theater with doing the doll's eye speech.
Yeah.
God, that's funny. It gets me every time.
But there's oddly something sweet about it. There's oddly something like I don't know. There's something. There's a warm fuzziness you kind of get from this weird. That the family is still intact somehow,
Right.
even though they're the only humans on planet Earth after this awful ordeal.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's it's juxtaposed. It's messed up
Right.
for sure, but it's.
And they're finally happy.
I like how the show is kind of able to give me like these hyphenated emotional responses.
Yeah, it does.
Where I'm laughing and creeped out at the same time.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think Harmon does that really well in a lot of this stuff. I think Gervais does it really well because Gervais will have you cringe and cringe and cringe for the characters in an episode or a scene, and then all of a sudden he'll hit you with emotional truth, and you really don't. Again, it's juxtaposition of you don't really know how to feel. But that's one of the things I like about Rick and Morty a lot is the fact that there are these sweet tender moments, and then the rest of it is it can be really mean spirited. So
yeah. And there's sometimes even like those mean tender moments. I'm tripping over my words, but that's exactly what I mean. They're mean and they're also tender, like in the same moment. Sometimes with his speech to Morty,
right?
And it's like, he's being a jackass,
right?
But he's also being, not a good grandfather, but he's helpful in that moment.
Yes, in his own way.
Yeah.
But and the other thing is, just for in case you're curious or people are curious, the last right before the credits, the bit where Morty's just sort of try to digest what happened to them is the song is "Look On Down from the Bridge" by Mazzy Star.
Mazzy Star, yeah, I looked that one up because I'm a big Mazzy Star fan.
It's a good song.
And Front Woman Hope Sandoval.
Yeah, but no, it's a very good. I think it's a very good fitting song for that moment. So. But yeah, no, cool. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed this one too.
Yeah,
that's good.
I like this one too.
Good.
All right, so let's move on. So Cowboy Bebop, Toys in the Attic. I'm going to let you go in a second, but I'm just going to quickly say my understanding is that this is a polarizing episode. Okay. I'm not as plugged into the anime world as Tommy and Clifton are, but that's my understanding of this is that this one not many people like. Okay, is that correct?
I'm not sure, honestly, because I saw it in its first run like 20 years ago, and I wasn't like, I don't know. I don't know what it's become since then. I enjoyed it at the time. That's all I know.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was when that show dropped, all people could think about was when they're going to get back to the stuff that happened in the 5th episode. So I guess I can see as to why it'd be not as appreciated, but it's the equivalence of a bottle episode for all intents and purposes.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean I liked it in a different sense. But I want to see your take on it overall to see how you liked it, Frank.
Okay. I didn't like this episode.
Okay.
I really didn't care for it.
So
all that
it is
much.
Polarizing. It is polarizing. Yeah,
it is.
But my issue with it is not so much like again it's the thing the gel or whatever it was, the goop that's going, the thing that's going through the ship. The sound of it alone was gross, so I was kind of expecting a little more. I've seen the trope again. It's to play on the trope of there's something in the ship with us. From Alien to other things. I found it a little. I don't know. I mean, I understand that Spike's supposed to be pretty laid back, and it's not a big deal. I would think would be a bigger deal when you've got 80 hours to get to wherever you're going to get to. I can't remember where they're going, and it's kind of like, you got bit. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, at that point, the other thing is I didn't know much about, I didn't know what Ed's deal was. Like, still don't really know what Ed's deal is.
Sure.
So it's kind of like, and again, it was one of those, it made me think of Firefly or other Whedon stuff where you have, what is typically a female name or a male name attributed to a character that isn't of the other. Like, like you have Fred from Angel or you have Jane from Firefly. So I was kind of like, that didn't faze me, but I just didn't know this character at all.
Right.
But I mean, just one of those things where anytime there's any kind of, you're in a closed ship, you can't easily get out of your situation, to be kind of like, it's not a big deal. That kind of threw me a little bit. And the dog. That was the other thing with the dog was there, Ein, and I didn't really know. I think in the preview for episode 2,
1,
or no, it's in the end of 1. I'm saying is it leads into 2.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the dog there, so I guess that's where they get the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. But yeah, I just kind of, I don't know. I like the idea of the different lessons from the different characters. That was kind of cool, but at the same time, it just seemed, I don't know. I felt, like I said, my biggest issue was it was kind of cavalier about something that could kill them all.
Right.
You know? So didn't really care for this one. It's not my favorite of the bunch.
This one, I watching it for the first time, I knew it was a weird one.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it then, even though I like it even more now, rewatching it.
Okay.
I like that this kind of shows the range of the show to me.
Okay.
And it's a tangent episode, like, it's off from our serialized plot. It's taking a pit stop somewhere, and it's gonna do something fun. I like tangent episodes very much, usually. Not all the time, but usually I think that they're very cool, and I like that they slow things down a bit. They can be sometimes good character studies and everything, and I just like how this one, the story pacing for this, I like how it all unfolds.
Okay.
But I also like how absurd the backstory is for.
Sure. Oh no, it's very absurdist, and I get that. It just was one of those things where, it's the stakes are supposed to be high, it's supposed to be a big deal. Once they realize it's a big deal, and then the way it ends, I went, well, I guess everyone's just okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, but and also it's with pacing. It comes between two heavier episodes that you're not aware of, so that plays into as well. Also, I think you're not getting used to the characters plays in it as well, because if that's your first introduction to Ed, it's a little jarring because you're not given us to what Ed is on how Ed comes to be on the ship.
Right.
And then there's another episode previously that makes it even funnier, is what is said in the second episode, in which Jet's telling Spike, no pets, no women, no kids.
Okay.
And that's the key to living a great life.
Okay. Right. And then, the formula they have is exactly,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Like I said, it was one of those things where it just, it's, as I've said before, it's the idea that I thought the stakes were much higher, and really it's kind of like, not really.
Yeah.
So,
I can see that. Yeah. It's jarring. It's jarring, especially the way that you watched it.
Right.
Where,
I mean, if it watched in, like you said, Tommy, between the two, it might have been just a goofy episode to have him to break the tension.
Yes.
But where watching it on its own, I had a feeling of, are they is it a joke I just don't get, or is it, the other thing is I had no problem with Ed, other than I don't know what Ed's deal is. So why Ed was able to just, eat that thing and not have a problem. Okay.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also plays off the joke that you've seen in the first one, where they're always hungry, or they always don't have enough for food.
Right. Yeah. Again, another Firefly, but they always got to go to the next job, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. See the parallels, huh?
Oh no, absolutely do. I can't help but see the Firefly parallels.
Yeah, but no,
So.
I find it very funny that you caught on to that very quickly.
No.
But the audience of both shows are polar opposites.
Okay. Gotcha.
Really?
Well,
interesting.
I feel about Firefly. So
I know how you feel.
Sure.
About Firefly. I definitely know how you feel about it. But Zach, what are you gonna say? Really, you are surprised?
Yeah, no, I'm surprised to hear that there's not more crossover.
No, if that was the case, then you'll see a lot more shows of space westerns as a result of Cowboy Bebop, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But yet, however, Firefly is the only example of what? A space western, which is exactly what they call Cowboy Bebop. I find that to be not a coincidence.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Clifton, what do you think of this one?
I like this one. I watched the run in order as it came out, so it was a different situation than we're in now. And I liked that it was offbeat. I mean, it's offbeat from the start with the Stardate intro. And then it just has references to Star Trek, Aliens, 2001: A Space Odyssey at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has a very intentionally anticlimactic finish.
Yes.
In multiple ways, not just with Ed finishing off the threat, but also finding out that it's just leftovers.
Yeah.
And it's a rock lobster.
Of all things. Given their
Yeah.
space references. I mean, there's song references.
Right.
I find it funny that it was a rock lobster that caused all the problem. Rock lobster. Yeah.
Our engineer looked it up on IMDb, so it's ranked 12 out of 26, right? So it's people don't hate it. It's right in the middle. It's not everybody's favorite.
Right.
It says it has an 8.3 rating, which is actually pretty high for IMDb.
Extremely high for IMDb.
They hate everything.
Yes.
I do like this one. I have 2 notes watching back again. I would have enjoyed, I think, if the design was different for Spike in this one, and I can argue myself out of these 2 points that I'm going to make also, right? Because I could see it justified also, but I think had he been either the jacket off or the tie off or something like that, right? I like pajama plots, and what I mean by that is I like the moments, like X-Men 2 is a great example of this. I like the moments where, you're put under stress in those moments when like you're sleeping or something like that and you're just doing your thing, right? Because when you're catching the character and they don't have their armor on and they don't have all their tools and they're barefoot, right? It can make it makes them more vulnerable in situations. And I would have liked the idea that this happens a bit when they're just kind of lounging around. The point where I can argue myself out of this is that, he's in the suit because this is just another day and he's ready to go to work and everything. And then this happens.
Well,
you know what I mean?
But you get that with Faye. You just don't get it with him or Jet ever, actually.
Yeah. And then the other, it's a stupid small thing, but when he lights the cigarette, when he tries to light the cigarette with the blowtorch, right? And it doesn't work. I think maybe I would have liked to have seen it work. Yeah. Right? Because I think that there's like an effortless, like cool nonchalance that would have come from that, and it would have made him feel capable in that situation, right? It would have changed that moment to like it's a moment of release. He's focusing, right? And now he's going in and he's not messing around. You know what I mean? But again, I could see it argued the other way too, because he's not a character with a whole lot of finesse.
Yeah, no, I my thing is that, like, I get but why I liked it was the fact that it fits, because the fact that he just doesn't seem to have a plan. Like he just he just sort of like straps on the ISP belt and goes to work, and and then in his mind that should have worked too, but it didn't. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it works the way it does as well. I'm just wondering, like, does the audience need a moment where they see him be like, okay, hang on, like, but he's going to get this under control. He's going to be okay. Right. You know what I mean? And I think that moment would have represented that a little bit. Again, I don't know if we need it. I think it would have been cool. Yeah. But it's also cool the way we got it. Right. Like I said, I can argue myself in and out of them, depending on which way the wind is blowing. But yeah. Okay. So let's move on. So I've never been able to say this episode right. Ricksty Minutes. Ricksty Minutes, yes. Season 1, Episode 8. Season 1, Episode 8. I chose this one because one other thing that Rick and Morty does way more, I think, than other Harmon properties is it gets really absurd really quick. And they're very much like, let the tape roll. We'll come up with whatever comes out. And it's one of the things where if you don't like that aspect of the show, you probably won't like it. Because this one is like whole cloth, that idea of we're just going to sit in the booth and screw around. And then, then we're going to have a plot, but a lot of our episodes going to be just screwing around. Right. Sure. So, it's one of those, they do it, it's done a few times. Sometimes it's done better. Sometimes it's worse. This is the first time where they actually just go for it and do this one. Yeah. Where they have this. It feels like that. Where they have the the interdimensional TV, and Rick even says at one point where he's winking at the audience and says, it has an almost improvisational feel because that's what they're doing. Right. Oh, so yeah. I didn't know how you would like, whether you would like this one or enjoy it or not. But like I said, it's one of the better ones where they do this, I think. Right. Okay. This one felt funny to me, and I like the situation. I like the setup, right? The idea that you're watching TV from other dimensions. Right. I think is a fascinating idea, and somebody with somebody that's actually doing sci-fi, like I don't want to say for real, but yeah, air quote for real, I think can explore this in a really, really interesting way. I think that there's a lot to be, taken from this. But I go back and forth on it too. It's one of those things. It's like, given the setup, you want to see a lot of TV gags, right? Because you want to see what's out there. But I think the TV gags, in my opinion, I think they fill the episode too much. Okay.
and it felt like the other plot like really kind of suffered because of it. And I thought some of the TV gags went too long. Also,
Sure.
I like the ants in my eyes gag. That one was a situation where it went on so long that it was funny.
Right. I like that one too, where they're just like, no, like, let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
With this guy going home.
Yeah.
But the other ones that went on a little long, I kept like in my head, I'm kind of going like, all right, let's cut it. Let's wrap it up. Can we get back to Jerry? Can we get back to the situation here? Which watching it, I thought that's where the weight lied.
Sure.
And not so much with the shows.
Well, again, it's one of those things where I agree that some of the bits do go a little long, but I like the episode overall. I think the other thing is I wanted to pay off the episode before where you have all the stuff with the Cronenberg word and the fact that they've buried their bodies out in the backyard.
And then Morty points it out. That's my grave.
Right. I wanted you to see that moment. That was part of the reason why I chose this one, was because I wanted you to see that moment of they deal with it. It's not something that just happens and it goes away. They have, there's consequences for the fact that, Morty's been dealing with the fact that he eats breakfast, like, what does he say, 10, 12 feet away from my corpse? Yeah. That's a thing that a lot of shows that, again, would have a high concept or have something happen may not pay that off. And it's one of the things where, Morty, whether, you feel like that it's paid off in the episode that we watched, this one does do that. And of course it's got the line about, nobody exists on purpose. Nobody belongs anywhere. Everybody's going to die. Come watch TV.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I was blown away. Yeah. At that moment that there was a callback to it, because again, like, being that you've been watching TV your whole life and stuff just doesn't get talked about. Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a lesson in one episode, right? We talked about this in our serialized versus episodic. Stuff happens in an episode and then you don't necessarily get any callback to it ever again. And I was really shocked that they went back to it. And then again, in a weird, hyphenated, emotional Rick and Morty way, it's awful. It's really messed up, but it's kind of touching also at the same time.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's mainly why. I mean, like I said, I enjoy the absurd parts of it and the improvisation stuff and the goofing around in the booth. But the real meat for me is the stuff with Beth and Jerry and, would their lives have been better if they'd not had Summer or whatever. And then the idea that, it's bad enough that they're contemplating this, but they contemplate it in front of her. Yeah. And then of course she's going to go do something in the Southwest with turquoise.
Yeah.
Whether that means turquoise or crystal meth, you don't really know. But yeah, and then the fact, like I said, like for me, the best part is just that they deal with the fact that we're living in a world where we had to bury ourselves. And outside of, like, I was trying to think about it, and I was thinking about characters that really have that moment of, kind of putting their old selves to bed or to rest. And outside of comics, I really don't know where I've seen that. I know in, like, there's a moment early on in Miracle Man where Miracle Man has to basically do the same thing for his alter ego. Mm-hmm. And outside of, like, hey, I'm trying to pretend that I'm not this character, I'm not my secret identity. I've never really seen that, had that moment of a character having to deal with the fact that, no, I buried myself. I'm right over there.
Right.
And again, for a show that's, and he's supposed to be like, what? Morty's what? 15?
Oh, right? You tell me, I guess.
So, yeah. So, I mean, and again, it's another, at the end of the episode, I think wraps up really nice with having that song from Belly, the Seal My Fate song, about the fact that, no, Beth and Jerry are supposed to be where they're supposed to be, even though it's not a perfect situation.
Yeah.
So, but yes.
Tommy, Clifton, what do you guys think?
Just another messed up Rick and Morty episode.
Yes,
where it just messes with your head. It's a whole mind F. Where you think it's one thing, but it's not. And it brings them together in a weirdly strange way. Mm-hmm. As far as how, I mean, it's weird how they come together as a family, which they shouldn't by all any means. And just emphasizes more or less that Rick's just a awful person. Mm-hmm. So no, this one, I'm okay with the episode. It's not my most favorite. It the ending pulls it out of that place of where you could care or not care about the TV stuff going on.
Yeah,
but to me, it's okay. I enjoyed it for what it is on the callback.
I wouldn't like this episode that much had we not gotten that Morty discussion with Summer. I think I think that elevates the episode quite a bit to me, like I said, because it is a shocking moment.
Yeah.
The end where they tied together them watching the TV with Beth seeing it through the virtual reality thing for the other dimension. So you see it from both sides. Like, I do think that is a really nice bit and disguises a lot of heart in what otherwise does appear to be just kind of like a random episode.
Sure. I mean, I will say this, of all the stuff that they do, I do find myself saying a piece of toast all the time because I think it's a funny bit, but that's just me.
You sounded like the narrator from Super Friends there.
Poor Bobby Moynihan still showing up 23 years later.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yes, and they don't get along apparently, artistic differences. So, but yeah, like I said, for me, it was mostly the fact that I wanted you to see that payoff. I wanted you to see that, oh no, there's consequences. Yeah. It's one of the things where they are really, and Tommy, you can back me up on this, they are really good about playing with their continuity, and then there are times where don't worry about continuity, it's not that important.
Yeah, they play that double-edged sword all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. You think the stuff that you want them to come back to and they don't, or the stuff that they casual come back to, and it makes the whole episode that they brought it up.
Yes. That's a fun line to walk, though, I imagine. Both creatively, but also as a viewer. I can see also now where the fan base has a lot to grasp on, right? Because there are layers here, right? It's how into it do you want to get, essentially. And I think that it is cool as you anticipate a season coming down the line. Like, what are they going to get into? Are they going to get into like this sort of thing that I put weight on, that I enjoy, right? Is that going to have some meaning again, or is that just something that's not going to get talked about again? And I could see that kind of being a way to surprise the audience a little bit in a good way.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So let us move on. Cowboy Bebop again. So this one is episode 15, My Funny Valentine. I'm going to let you go.
Okay. Right off the bat, I thought it was a cool transition from the frozen Fae to the frozen fish. I always liked that kind of stuff from a storytelling standpoint. I thought that was cool. I was hoping for more of a straight up origin story as opposed to, ambiguous sort of, well, this may have been your background, but not really.
Yeah. I was too.
And it's one of those things where I didn't know if it was, because it made it sound, she's a con girl or a con woman or a con, whatever. So it's one of those things where I didn't know I didn't know that much about the character. So I didn't know if it was a situation where, sometimes in the situations in other shows or other, with other tropes, they have a million backstories ready to go. Right. Right. So I was expecting, I didn't know if this was, a situation, because even when Spike comes out of the restroom or whatever, and she's like, how long have you been listening? And he's like, oh, long enough to know that you need a rewrite. I didn't know if this was just something that she was doing to entertain herself with a dog. And then, of course, when the payoff is actually that no, Whitney is actually the con man that's been conning, thereafter, I was hoping to actually get some answers, and then it doesn't really, he doesn't know either. Right. So, yeah, it was an uneven episode for me. I don't know. It wasn't, I liked the idea of, if that is her backstory, that's kind of cool, but
yeah,
so don't really know.
The reason I'm saying I am, me too, is it's been a long time since I've seen the show. I love the show, but I haven't watched it, and I haven't done a rewatch for it in a while. And in my head, I remembered this episode and another one being the same episode.
Okay.
And I didn't realize that it was split up, and I actually meant to give you a different episode entirely.
I'm about to say,
yeah.
Okay.
Now you have extra credit homework.
Yeah, you go.
Wow. Okay, cool.
But based upon the character Faye, this is her backstory part 2. You missed the intro of the character and what that led towards it. This was just more sprinkles on the cake, cake, for lack of a better term.
Right.
In which it adds to it, and there's more. It fleshes out even more so. But yeah, this is relatively part 2 of her past and what what she had to go through to be there. Yeah. You kind of missed her introduction, and this
Right.
just adds to it. I think it worked better had you seen the first one,
Yeah.
Okay.
because then you understand the whole aspect of the grift
Okay.
and why it catered to her, especially, and why it plays to who she is and
Mhm.
how much the guy was important to her in that regard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. The guy kind of reminded me of Tommy, you'll know this is of Howard from Hamlin McGill.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. At least the first version of him.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
no,
first
yeah,
version
yeah.
for sure. The second version, not so much.
Yeah,
But the first version, absolutely. I was like, Howard? But
To me, I see it as fat shaming because he was
Yeah.
when he was a jerk or seen as a jerk, all of a sudden he got fat, and I didn't get that till later. I was like, wait a minute.
No, it's there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely there.
Right.
Well, the other thing that's funny that you mentioned that was, which, you know, in the lens of, you know, where we are now, is the idea that, you know, it's the idea that, well, a prince has to protect the Sleeping Beauty.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, where I was like, she's supposed to be a competent you know, she's pulling cons and this is her deal. You know, it's kind of a weird place to put her in her origin that, you know, she had to rely on this dude, you know, and then the dude conned her. And I get maybe that's where she gets the idea to start doing that
Yes.
sort of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you miss is the intro of it, in which they meet her and she's conning.
But right.
So this
Well, that's
is
what I
a-
would expect
Yeah.
from a character like that.
Yeah. This
know,
is
that's-
this is the
that's what I would
explanation of
think.
what it is.
So,
This is where my shoddy memory let you down.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
all right.
I'm sorry,
Well, I mean,
Frank,
it was an okay episode, but again, I think my expectations of it being more than what it was more than your shoddy memory. So,
What I do get impressed with it, rewatching this episode is I am impressed at how we kind of get to see a whole nother world explored within this world, right?
Mhm.
That we do see this flashback and we kind of get an idea of what before was like,
sure.
right? Even though because it doesn't exactly resemble us, our time, what we know.
Right.
So there's still like a cool bit of world building that they do here that we're seeing sort of the connective tissue between the viewer's world watching it and the world that is the show,
Right.
you know. And I am impressed that they're able to do that with such a short amount of time because it's only done like in these flashback moments, and you know, it's not the whole episode is a flashback, right? It does cut back and forth between like the current time and flashbacks, so it's not like a whole 22 minutes that's in the past.
Right.
Right, like I remembered it. So I do think that like it's just it impresses me how they're able to kind of do so much so in such a short amount of time.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked that, but at the same time, I've seen it done better. No offense
Sure.
to anyone who loves it. You know, I love a good, you know, we're gonna flesh something out and give you a backstory in 22 minutes, but I've seen it done better in other things.
Right.
Well, it builds off of different parts. That's one.
I know.
And two,
I
you
understand
watched
that.
it 25 years later for when when it came out. And
Sure.
and for something altogether different. I like the bit in which she thinks she knows the appliances in the room.
That's a good bit. I like
Yeah.
that. No,
Yeah,
I
it
like
was
that.
like,
That was
what?
good. That's a cool
Yeah.
moment. I like that a lot. I thought it
Yeah.
was very cool. Where he's like, no, this is, you know, it's a washing machine. So
Yeah. It's
yeah,
just a
no,
TV.
I was good with
Yeah.
that. And it was cool, but you know, so yeah, but like I said, it's not, you know, it's again, I liked it. It just, I imagine it would help if I'd seen the other one. So
Right.
Yep.
Sorry.
that's okay. Womp. Womp.
All right. So, all right, where are we? So we're in season 2 now of
Yes.
Rick and Morty, episode 1, Rickle in Time.
Yes.
I love this one. I thought
Okay,
this one was
good.
really cool. I like
Good.
the gimmick of the show.
Yes.
Was very effective and worked on me. And this is one I can see people rewatching over and over again to try and parse out what is this set of characters saying in that situation. What is this set? Because what's impressive to me is that they talk over each other
Mm-hmm.
at times, and sometimes it's exactly the same, and sometimes there's difference. And I like the
Right.
subtle differences of like, oh, Summer's on this side
Mm-hmm.
of,
Right.
of the room in that reality, and you
Yes.
know, yeah. I don't know that I've ever quite seen something like that before, which I thought was cool.
Right.
You
No,
know?
I like this one a lot because it's again it's an instance where they'll take something that's pretty high concept or pretty hard science, and then again, tweak it or play with it. The idea of, the uncertainty principle, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle being a thing that, causes them to split into these various, things. And the fact that they've got to try to be certain and bring it all back together.
Yeah.
I thought, again, and then the fact that they overlap, and, there's a bit with Rick trying to kill the other Ricks, or he realizes the other Ricks might be trying to kill him.
Right.
Because he knows what a piece of shit he is, basically. Yeah. That to me is a great moment. I like that moment quite a bit. Yeah, I like this. I love this episode because, again, I think it's one of those with Rick and Morty. You do get a lot of hard science stuff that they sort of twist and manipulate, and if you like that sort of thing, it's cool to play with. So
I love the uncertainty principle getting kind of a literal, like run with it. Where it's going down also to like your choices and whether or not you are sure of yourself in this situation, whether or not you're going to second guess yourself in this situation. Yeah, no, I really loved it. The subplot, I think I got kind of bored with that time while I laughed, and I think some great jokes are in there.
Right.
It was one of those things. This is kind of also the same as the previous one that we talked about, Rick 60 Minutes, where like there is sometimes in a few of these episodes that I watch where I'm super invested in either the A plot or the B plot, but not all the time I'm invested in both equally.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's one of those things when I put this together and I rewatched them all in one sitting, I had that moment of like, wow, my through line through a lot of this is Beth and Jerry. Like, I didn't mean to it. Like, it's not a conscious choice, but you can see like it's a good snapshot of what their marriage is like and where they are as people. And I certainly didn't intend to do that, but it was one of the things where as I watched it again, I was like, oh yeah, that's a lot of them. That's their kind of their thing. But at the same time, you're getting a lot of quick bursts of like, well, this is where they are. So
interesting. Yeah. Because by this point, I'm thinking, do they just talk about this every episode? Do they almost get divorced every episode?
It wasn't planned. Like I said, I was trying to I was trying to show you different facets of the show that basically are going to be what the show is about in various spots throughout the rest of it. You decide to stick with it. So
is this whole show just about their marriage being in trouble?
Yeah, pretty much. That's all it is.
Was Dan Harmon going through a divorce at this time? Like, what was going on?
But no, I like a lot of the dialogue. I think is really good for Rick in this. The whole thing about about being when he tells Morty and Summer that he doesn't really know them other than how much they're a pain in his ass. And he's like, let me get my whiteboard. It's been a long time coming, and tries to explain to them how they really don't matter to him. Again, which is mean spirited, but this is one of those things where that's Rick. So
yeah. And the production nerd in me kind of geeks out at sort of like the synchronization of it all.
Sure.
Too,
I couldn't imagine trying to put it all together.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine like either editing the episode or even like getting everything ready to send over to CZEV and animated and everything. Like
trying to explain
to have it all like succinct and perfect and I only watched it one time, but there's very few like hiccups that I can notice in it. Like it's pretty crisp, I think.
Yeah, I like the fact that they managed to pull all that stuff off. And again, like you said, I don't think I've ever really seen it done that way and that well in anything else. Yeah. And then it's also one of those things where you get you'll see if you stick with it, you'll see like they get a lot of good, surprisingly good like voice cameos. So like to have Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele be in it was a lot of fun. I thought that was great.
Yeah,
that time kind of cop character.
Yeah, no, so, I love that character. Yeah, I thought that was a funny bit and everything. I was trying to place his voice the whole time. I'm like, I know this guy. It was driving me nuts.
Right?
Yeah.
Then the Einstein tag at the end, I think, is really good too.
yeah, the Einstein tag is great too.
I will mess with time.
Yeah.
So good. Well, I'm glad you. I mean, like I said, I figured you would like this one a lot because it's one of those things where they deal with, like I said, the uncertainty principle and stuff. I figured would be up your alley. So
yeah. No, I really enjoyed this one.
Good.
So let's get to the last Cowboy Bebop on the list. Black Dog Serenade, episode 16.
Yes, this was my favorite of all of them. I enjoyed this one the most. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. It is a pretty straight ahead story. It's not granted, it's told in anime, but it's definitely something that felt like familiar ground.
Yeah.
So
it's basically Con Air at times.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Like I don't. It's also the whole idea of we get a little background. At least the background most background I had for Jet. So it was cool to see all that unfold, and the idea that this Udi Taxum assassin guy. I liked right off the bat I thought he was cool, and I was hoping for more of him.
Yeah,
but alas. So, but no, I like the reveal about the thing with his partner. I also like the thing I liked the most was the idea that he basically puts that one bullet in his gun. He knows full well what he's doing when he confronts Jet. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a nice, nice moment, because I'm like, oh, that sucks. He's going to do that, but that's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
So,
well, doesn't it also make the whole episode, like, it gives it a hook, right? It takes it from, well, his partner's kind of, like I don't have a good feeling about the way that this is going. Right. No, sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing about it was it definitely cast Jet in the role of being like the private eye. It felt very it felt a little like Mickey Spillane or like kind of noirish. The idea that once upon a time you were a guy that followed the law, and now you're just a guy that does what he wants. And we may or not, it may or not be your partner's fault that you're no longer a cop, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You even get him with a fedora.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. That too. I did think that it occurred to me who Jet reminded me of as a visual, and it was Iroh. Like if you look at his face, it's somewhat Iroh like
with the chops, with the mutton.
Yeah, with mutton chops. So that kind of like
big buff Iroh.
Yeah, it's a big buff Iroh, exactly, with a robot arm. So,
well, it's interesting you bring up the facial hair and everything, because I remember thinking like it's so interesting to me that in the flashbacks they keep it, right? Like that the visual is still there. And it's one of those things where, like, I feel like design wise, it would be much more typical for us to see Jet like cleanly shaved.
Sure.
And I like that it's still there. But if you look at it to later points in the episode, it is slightly cleaner. Like, it's kept better, right? Because when you see him in the future, and you're just kind of like 3/4 shots and everything, like, it is wider on the sides and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was a cool, very subtle change that I thought was cool. I don't know, just unconventional, but neat nonetheless.
Yeah, but all in all, this is, like I said, this was the one I liked the most. The whole thing with the prison riot / break in the ship. Again, if you have a moment of someone who knows more than there's somebody in the shadows that knows more about stuff. So I don't know if that's they call back to that at some point. So again, it's a question of like, oh well, I'd like to see more about what that was about.
I liked sort of the grubbiness of the fight scene at the end. That there's not a lot of, it feels down and dirty, which I think is cool. Like, you feel every punch. You feel.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's true. Again, it's true to character. I think it's I never, even what little I know about Jet, I didn't see him as being much of a finesse fighter.
Right.
So. But yeah, like I said, this one was my favorite of all the ones I watched. I like this one the most. So
cool.
Yes. Good job.
Tommy, Clifton, anything to add?
Well, to me, this is a nice callback to it. I felt it was very noirish in how it was shown and what he went through. And again, this is his backstory part 2, in which you get an introduction to Jet and what he dealt with as a cop and what his past was. So, for what it was, I guess. I mean, I would have liked to know more about the syndicates that they operate. They just call each one a different syndicate over the course of the years, or excuse me, over the course of areas. Like, regardless of who they come across, it's a different syndicate based upon a different area. But I would have wanted more to know about his leg. I thought his leg was also a prosthetic, not just his arm, because he always walks with a limp. Yeah, it just shows how naive Jet is at the end of the day, which plays into the character as a whole, and which he's always trusting.
Yeah, because I think so too. With the idea that you probably definitely didn't. In a lot of ways, it's a moment of, wow, he didn't really see this coming. He didn't still really see it coming again. So
yeah, in fact, he called his friend to help him track down the guy.
Right.
Who was the mob cop taking pay still to this day. So I guess at the end of it, I was I was like, would he have folded that quickly? I don't know.
His partner helping him out that looks like Rutger Hauer.
Yeah,
That's what I kept thinking the whole time.
But at the end of it, I was like, Tio, you did this all so he could kill you at the end?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, when he finally, I mean, I get them killing the hitman,
right?
But it's not like the hitman had secrets that anybody was interested in, and it was based upon that phone call. They sort of give him the brush off, like because the cop was gonna go kill him.
Mm.
But yeah, I didn't think the cop would have put up more of a fight against Jet instead of allowing him to get the upper hand and killing him.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Okay, so let's move on to our last one. Season 2, Episode 4, Total Recall.
So again, this one I thought was pretty easy choice for you because of the fact that it is there's a character that we don't know about that's suddenly in our sitcom, like Dawn from Buffy, or what's another good example? A character that's supposed to be like everyone's supposed to know this character. And I thought for your love of sitcoms, I thought it was a perfect choice for you.
Yes, so this is the moment where I guess we have in common, right? Because it sounds like you're the entirety of watching Cowboy Bebop, you had this feeling of like, is this a new character? Is this somebody we met before? Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Synchronistically, this worked out for both of us. So
yeah, the uncle character, I'm like, whoa, who's this guy and everything? But very very quickly, I'm relieved of that. Right. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. No, I'm supposed to be as confused as everybody watching this episode.
Yes.
So I get it. I get things now, right? Mm-hmm. But no, I think the setup is super interesting for this one. I really enjoy the escalation of the scenario, and my favorite aspect of it, I think, is the moment where like Rick has this all under control.
Yes.
Yep. And then there's a point where they start directing their attention towards Rick. And it all starts getting affected and he's confused, and now he can't trust his judgment either anymore. And I really, really liked how that all like broke down.
Right.
Basically. Yeah. And again, like in I guess in the customary Rick and Morty way, I don't know. I've only seen 5 episodes and a 6th one that I can't remember. Is, nice family moments surrounded over, a horrifying, we're going to shoot everybody in the room.
Yeah.
And no, and like and a tenderness that it's wrapped in. We have bad memories of each other, therefore it's real. It's very cynical. It's a very, 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 very like pessimistic way at looking at things, but at the same time, there is a sweetness to it because we have this and we're still here.
Yes, bad memories are the key to saving the day, but at the same time, I have bad memories of you.
Yeah,
and they're not, and the memories they have are not. They're pretty bad memories.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So for me, it's the idea that you get like these moments of their, again, this is where one of those episodes where, granted, it's all in there. It's not real, quote unquote. It's all in their head, but you get moments like where all these characters are with, having these adventures with all these fake characters that we've never seen before, but it's done in a way that like, well, maybe this could have granted, the idea of Rick and Frankenstein's monster and Nam.
Right.
While absurd and ridiculous, still at the same time, I'm like, I'd watch that. I'd watch an episode of the two of them in Nam together.
Yeah.
And we don't know if, as far as we know that Rick was ever in the service of any kind. So,
yeah.
But no, I love the fact that they alter the credits with Mr. Poopy Butthole to make you think that maybe he's, I think that's a nice sell.
Yeah.
For the episode. So you think that, well, surely he has to be one of these, things. But I do love the fact that the characters get more and more absurd. I love the Mr. Belvedere, pastiche.
Yeah.
And the fact that it turns into almost a Mrs. Doubtfire thing when they go to the dance together with Morty. He and Morty go to the dance.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, Sleepy Gary. How can we not talk about Sleepy Gary?
No. Really quick before we get to Sleepy Gary. So the thing that I liked about the Mr. Poopy Pants bit at the end, like the stinger,
Mr. Poopy Butthole,
is it is also a nice take on the opposite side of when characters like just abruptly leave shows.
Sure.
And I like that it's kind of a weird take on that, but it also, it does reinforce the episode. It does give it some stakes. It does give it some staying power, but it's a sad ending. We're like, no,
sure.
He just, he wants you guys to leave. Which, of course, why wouldn't he?
He's sorry you only have fond memories of him.
Right. Well, just the bit where, again, this is get back to the whole thing of what we were talking about at the beginning was, it's a very simplistic but highly stylized style for the characters. And that bit, like, to me, it never gets more real for me, that bit when Beth realizes, oh my God, I shot Mr. Poopy Buttle, and I'm going to, like, when she's shaking with the wine glass.
Yeah.
It's so real, but it's like, this is such a simplistic cartoon of the way they do it. But to me, it's like, oh man, that moment's real. That's a real moment. A character flipping out about the fact that they shot someone in their living room. And this is after, like you said, this is after them killing like all those parasites.
Yeah.
She doesn't blink then.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. No, but the other thing that I took away from it is Jerry is broken.
But he's broken in the best way. I love Jerry.
Yeah.
I love Chris Parnell is amazing as Jerry.
Yeah.
That's one thing I will always say about. I love Chris Parnell on as what's his name on Archer?
Oh, Tommy. Help.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I completely drawn a break. I could see his face, his glasses.
Was it Figgis? No, it's
no. Yeah, Figgis. It's that's his last name.
Our engineer's screaming at us right now.
Sorry, I'm behind on Archer. So, but he's great. I mean, he's great on that, and he's really great. God, I love him so much as Jerry. He's so awesome at being this broken.
Cyril Figgis.
Cyril, thank you.
It just gets me so much that like, right, you're in a classic Twilight Zone scenario. Some of my favorite episodes ever of Twilight Zone are this exact situation. They're like, one of us in this room is not who we say we are, right?
Yes,
and I love that Jerry is so convinced that it's him.
Right.
Like he's so broken that he's like, all of you guys are more real than I am.
Right. Oh yeah. Yes, maybe in the bit on the boat where he says, maybe we'll see Chewbacca.
Right.
God, that makes me laugh every time I think about it.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like I said, just the Rolodex of like wacky characters like Ghost in a Jar and all that stuff and Tinkles. and then to have a voice actor of his level, Keith David, just be reverse giraffe for like 2 minutes and then go right out, never, doesn't have any more lines. Oh.
I don't know if it's me too, but that scene on the boat.
Yeah.
Where they hook up, it's like I'm reminded of like it felt like Talented Mr. Ripley to me.
Okay.
Right? It echoed that to me. It just felt like a distillation of Talented Mr. Ripley, like in a minute.
Uh-huh. Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know if anybody else caught that, but or felt that, I would say. I don't know if it's intentional.
But yeah, that was maybe we'll see Chewbacca.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I love the idea of Sleepy Gary and the fact that that he's so much more real to Jerry than Jerry is.
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, the marriage after that is she's like, I still need time.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So.
Oh, poor Jerry.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So
maybe my favorite of the bunch. I don't know.
Okay, good. Like I said, I figured this one was going to be right up your alley.
Was pretty great too.
Yeah. No, I figured you'd dig this one. So
yeah,
good.
So okay, so to start wrapping up, then so how did we do? Did you come around? Are you a fan?
Am I a fan of Cowboy Bebop?
Yeah.
I liked it a whole lot. I don't know how soon I'm going to be able to revisit it.
Right.
It's one of those. I liked it enough that I thought, again, that's one of the things where I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of like, well, what happens to this character? Is this going to be something that gets dealt with or not? So no, I mean, the accessibility of it has never been easier at this point. It's not like I have to borrow it from somebody or anything. So I'm sure I'll stick with it and probably finish it up. I just don't know when. Again, with now that we live in the world of, a cornucopia of everything at our fingertips practically for episodes, and there's more streaming services coming up every day.
You don't have to get a bootleg VHS recorded off of Midnight Adult Swim. From a friend.
No. Yeah, there's no choppy commercial breaks or any of that kind of stuff. So no, I mean I'll probably finish it up.
Yeah,
but it was I enjoyed it enough to watch. I'll probably stick with it.
Yeah, I mean the unfortunate thing is sort of like the format for this episode is I think, unfortunately, the attempt to win you over is also going to kind of ruin the experience of watching it for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because you jumped around and you got to see, right? You didn't get to see stuff unfold naturally as it did, right? Like,
Right.
you just, but at the same time, like, I didn't just want to pick episodes that were like, okay, like,
Right.
I guess it's cool, right? I wanted to give you something with some meat because
Sure,
I know
sure.
that because I know that that's what's gonna win you over,
Right.
you know.
But Cowboy Bebop is one of those cartoons or animes that it's a genuine classic. It's
Right.
like if there were animes to be picked in the Criterion Collection, that would be one of them.
Right.
Even though it's
Yeah.
dated, there is nothing that's been produced similar like it. Even when the creator wanted to do it with what's it called, Samurai Champloo, it doesn't come off as well as this one.
Right.
So it's if you like cartoons as a whole, it's something that you should watch because what they do with music is amazing. That a lot of cartoons don't pull off as well as what they do with Cowboy Bebop.
That intro is his
iconic.
inspired things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So if you do choose to watch it, just bear in mind that it's already laid groundwork for a lot of the stuff you've already seen.
Right. No, I got that. I
Yeah.
figured as much.
Yeah.
So it kind of, if you're looking for the story, a lot of the stuff I'm certain you've already seen before, and it's more along the lines of, okay, they got it from this. Okay, I see what they did. It pulls from this. Like you like Jacob Marlowe and stuff like Noir, they'll definitely see how Bebop
Philip
used
Marlowe.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's one of those things that I mean, it did get a movie. So what I'm going to say is not completely accurate because that happened, but it's one of those things where, like, I'm surprised that they haven't done more with it.
Right.
That it hasn't been revisited in all this time, as popular as it is, as like well regarded as it is.
Well, the movie it's a very anime thing. The movie is set between episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, knowing that, like, I mean, but that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I can't believe that there weren't more movies set in between other episodes, that there weren't, it's just funny to me, especially when like, things like Full Metal Alchemist, like Brotherhood, where they basically like redid it.
Mm-hmm.
But those come about because they started adaptation before the source is done.
Yeah,
and
that's
this was
different.
just the source.
Yeah, that's different. And this is more like artwork. So it's not like this was made as a one and done. It wasn't made as like a franchise thing. It was like, here's an idea I want to push across. I have a vision. Now I'm done with the vision. It's like with Watchmen and Alan Moore.
Right.
If it was made in the West. But being that the creator did it for what it is and is done with it, they're not pressuring him to do anything more because really they got a lot of mileage out of this. In fact, they still get mileage out of it.
Zach, what was the episode besides My Funny Valentine that you were thinking?
Oh, the
when you thought two were combined.
Yeah. So I was conflating My Funny Valentine and number 19 that was Speak Like a Child.
Okay.
I was conflating those two. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, one Cowboy Bebop thing that is coming, hopefully, maybe, is the Netflix show that got interrupted first due to injury.
Yeah.
And then interrupted again due to other circumstances. So, we might be getting more Cowboy Bebop stuff in the future. Okay. John Cho is as Spike.
Okay.
Check out the intro for Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was season 5.
Yeah.
Season 5 of the Nickelodeon
it's
show.
It's a straight homage to the Cowboy Bebop Open.
It's we'll put it up on letmeknowhowitis.com so you guys can see that as well. It's really close. Rick and Morty. Yeah, I'm in. I'm in. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I'll go. I mean, I might be able to get caught up, in time for the new season. Also, so
Tommy, I'm thinking, son of a bitch, I'm in.
Oh, wow. That's funny that you should say that. That's what Laura said that he should watch.
Yeah,
he should watch that episode.
There were some episodes I was thinking to give you, Zach, that there was just there's season 4, and it would be tough to find them, so I didn't give them to you.
Right.
But that's a good one too. You'd like that one a lot too. But
Okay.
I'll let you get to it.
No,
The line from it is basically "son of a bitch, I'm in."
It's a fun show.
Yeah, good. Glad you enjoyed it.
It's a fun show. I've been waiting to watch the short that came out of Comic-Con at home.
Mhm.
Also, like this whole time, like I haven't watched it yet, but yeah, I've been itching to watch it. So and that's the cool thing. I like that the show does that, and I like that that it makes sense because there is there's the multiverse out there, so it's not out of nowhere, even though it's out of nowhere, and they're kind of just flexing whatever muscles they want to flex.
Yeah,
but it feels very like comic book annual to me.
Yeah,
which is always so cool when you can kind of evoke that feeling watching an animated show somewhere. I love specials. I just love it.
Of course. No, that's one of the things I like about that show too, is the fact that there's a lot of ancillary things that it's one of the few shows that I watch now that I don't feel like if I don't see every little iota of momentary, like every minute they produced, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like not everything is so crucial to the entirety of the series. And I like that, but I also like the fact that, like you said, there's all these, they do these cool little extra bits just to do them because they like doing them.
Yeah. No, it was a fun one. So
good.
So thank you guys.
Very good.
Tommy Clifton, thanks for watching this along with us, and
yes,
and helping me out, especially with Cowboy Bebop, because you guys remember it a lot better than I do, because you guys have seen it so many more times than I have. But yeah, no, I'm happy that you enjoyed some of it.
Yes,
at least.
Yes, I enjoyed some of it. So good. Very good.
All right. So tell us in the comments what you guys think about these shows and the episodes that we just watched. While you're there, suggest a topic for us. Find us on YouTube also. Just don't forget to subscribe while you're there. And finally, don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/letmeknowhowit is, and follow us on Twitter at our show's initials, LMKHII. Thanks for listening, and we will see you on the next one.